So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below, so check those out for massive discounts on all your Hidden Summoner needs as well as all your other Yu-Gi-Oh needs. But let's get on with the profile. What's it, YouTube? Daryl here from Wargames, bringing you Pendulum Magician update. Now this is ready for the new year of 2019. All ready to go and hopefully get you kickstarted for the start of the new year. We are trying out some new design ideas, as you can see with the screen here. We'll be putting out the full deck list for you to the left as well. On top of that, we will try and in post put the prices of each individual card and then a total deck price at the end of the video, so you can kind of see how much it will cost you to invest in a deck like this at minimum rarity. That's what we're going to be going for. Is we're going to go at the cheapest rarity. Obviously, there might be the odd times if you do the research yourself and have a look. The secret or the rarity bump is only going to be £1 or £2 more. If you want to do that, by all means do so. But we're just going to try and bring you the full cost of each deck, so you don't get any nasty surprises when you try and build it yourself. Regardless, no matter whether the price is high or low, the decks can always be altered to your personal preference and be made cheaper as the way you go. And mainly that comes in the extra deck form. So without further ado, I'm going to take you through this deck and show you exactly what we've got. So we start off with, of course, the Mist Valley Apex Avian. And we play 2 of this guy. So this is like your additional negate of the deck. Very, very powerful, very, very useful. And it's basically just when an effect is activated, you can select one face-up Mist Valley card you control itself, obviously, return it to the owner's hand, negate the effect, and destroy the card whose effect was activated. So this includes spells, traps, and of course monsters. Some decks play 3. I think 2 is about the right amount because it bounces back to the hand. It's very rare that you'll need to kind of overload. The whole idea is you go first, you set up your board, you have a Mist Valley Apex on board with a hopefully the level 6 Mystical Beast Jackal King, and then on top of that you'll also have, if possible, if you want to leave it, you've got your Zhangi Magician. Otherwise you'll have your board with a Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon on and possibly a Naruto as well. So you're going to have to just fill your board up with as many negates as you possibly can. Then for the Pendulum monsters, of course, we've got triple Supreme King Dragon Dartworm. This is quite self-explanatory. Get it to the graveyard for a free special summon, and that, of course, pushes you into your Electromite. The idea of this deck is you want to get into your Electromite without using your normal summon or Pendulum summon, ideally. Free Chronograph, again, additional effects to put it in the scale, bring out a Time Gazer, and that, of course, gives you the ability to go into your Electromite without using any of your Pendulum summon or normal summon. Triple Wisdomite Magician, again, put it in the scales, fill up your extra deck, search out the piece that you need, finish your scales, and then of course move your plays further forward that way. Triple Harmonized Magician, your rank 4s, your link 2s, or even link 4s, however high you want to make it, and then of course an XYZ should you need to. Triple Mythical Beast Cerberus, of course this searches you out your Jackal King and contributes towards an additional summon without using your normal summon or Pendulum summon. 2 Mythical Beast Jackal Searchable. You don't really want these guys in the scale unless you're using their effects, of course, to get one or the other out. And then this card just picks up, every time a spell card is activated, picks up tokens and can negate monster effects for 2 tokens, which is really, really cool. 2 Oath Dragon Magician. Again, this just helps you get whatever Pendulum Magician card you want from your extra deck back to your hand to push your plays further forward. 2-0, searchable off of Dartworm, and then of course being a 0 scale is very, very powerful. Not that it means that you get your zeros, but it is an additional lower scale to help get your Pendulum summon out there. Double Curtain Raiser. Now, Curtain Raiser, a lot of people question as to whether or not you actually play it in the deck or not. It's still very, very useful. You need, like I said, it's imperative that your first turn ends with an Electromite without using your normal summon, or gets you into an Electromite without using your normal summon or special Pendulum summon, which is why Curtain Raiser can be very, very useful for that sense. It is also a level 4, which can contribute towards your ranked 4s and level 8 synchros, should you wish. We've then got double Black Fang. 2 is more enough. It's mainly for the higher scale, but of course, if you do have that odd chance, you can revive a Dark Spellcaster from your graveyard as well if it's destroyed with battle or card effect. And then, of course, it's got the scale effect of popping itself to half your opponent's attack. 1 Purple Poison. Back in, like I say, the old days, but in the earlier days of Pendulum Magicians, this was very, very important because it got rid of anti-spell and stuff like that. It's not a necessity like that anymore. because it still needs to be popped and work it that way, it's useful for a lower scale, and of course coming off of harmonising for any of your kind of effects you want to push further forward that way. And if you do really, really brick badly, which you shouldn't do in a deck like this, putting it in defence for 21 defence is always going to be useful. Obviously, the time gauge has come off Chronograph. Your Zhanggeek Magician can also come off for harmonising, and then of course can neg a face-up light monster, which is very, very important in like certain matchups in this format. And then of course you've got the one Dragon Pit Magician, higher scale as well, which is something that this deck this build lacks in the sense that it's got a nice handful of higher scales, but the higher scales you kind of want popping and putting onto the board. And then of course on top of that, it can deal with any back row floodgates that might cause you issues. Moving on to the spells, double Dragon Shrine to put your Dark Worm into the graveyard. Double Pendulum Call, you've got to be very, very careful that this is one of the last things you do, that you try and bait your opponent out with their ashes as best as you possibly can. You don't main call by the graves because you really want to be as explosive as you can, and all cards you play of your spells, sometimes your traps, you want to be getting to your Pendulum Scales or Pendulum Monsters as quickly as possibly can, build up either a negation board or an OTK board, and push your plays further forward that way. Double Pot of Desires for a bit of consistency as well. At the end of the day, what you banish isn't the end of the world. You're just going to be adding Pendulum Monsters to your hand, and especially in the new format where you can't bring from the extra deck your Pendulum Monsters as easily as you could before. Adding 2 Pendulum Monsters to your hand is always going to be a plus. And the fact that you only play 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 non-Pendulum Monsters, 9 spells and traps in your deck, and then plus the 2 Apex, you're playing 11 cards in your deck of 40 that aren't going to be Pendulum Monsters, and even if you get into an Apex, that's a great pull to put because then it gives you an additional negation on board as well. The one Foolish Burial and the 1 Star Pendragoth. So a lot of people cutting this because it's not searchable anymore. It's still very, very good. The way I see it is, I don't want this deck to be a, if you stop me, if I can't build my negation board, you win, and if I can't beat your board, you win. I kind of want it to be that if I do need to grind this game out, this will give me my resources that I need to, which is why I also play the 1-time Pendragoth. This is incredibly powerful. A lot of people struggle to get past this in the past, and it's still, in my opinion, very, very powerful. Now, 9 times out of 10, when you're playing this, not a lot of people will expect it going first in the first game. But it gives you not so much an additional negation, but it gives you additional disruption should your board not be as protected as you like. Now, if you've activated Pendulum Call as well, you get the most out of this card. I still just think this card is incredibly powerful. It's not a necessity, like I said, but I definitely think it's worth playing. If you wanted to make it more consistent, I'd put a second one in for the Star Pendulum Graph, but for now, 1 is more than enough. If you open it up or desires into it, great, you've got an additional bit of an extension or protection, and if you don't, it's not the end of the world. You've still got a lot that you can build on. Now on to the extra deck. We'll start off with the 1 Synchro, and that is Supreme King Dragon Clearwing. This could be an Omega if you want it to be. This could be kind of any Synchro. Scarlight is also a very, very good one as well. So between this and Scarlight, it's entirely up to you guys on what you would like to play. Personally, because this one is your Regeki, whereas the Scarlight is a game winner in time. Now, your alternative for game winner in time is, I'll just skip to it now, is Gargoyle Cowboy. Now, the way I've seen this Pendulum matchup going is, the Pendulum deck itself is fast. It can get you through to game 2 very, very quickly, but there's no real stall in the deck. Like, you can't slow the game down, and you don't want to be slowing the game down because that is, of course, cheating. But if you're coming up against your opponent and your opponent goes, right, I've won game 1 or I've lost game 1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and win game 2 and then stall my opponent out for a draw, or I'm going to try and cause my opponents as much issues that if they choose to go first, they're not going to be able to break my board in time. So what you want to do is you want to have a main deck winning card that as soon as you're in main phase, because it is probably the longest phase of a turn, that as soon as you get into main phase, you're safe. As long as you can make a rank 4 in Cowboy, or if you put the Scarlight in here, as long as you can make a Scarlight play, that gets you game. That is a game winner there, and I like having that idea that if my opponent calls time, if the judge calls time, and I haven't had enough time to set up a board to be in battle phase and win the game, I still have a way of winning regardless. We'll finish off the XYZs while we're here. So we've got the 1 Tornado Dragon to deal with that pesky back row, the 1 Extranet to reset the board, again in the grind game, should you need to reset the board state. Pendulums are very, very good at recovering that sense. So if you make sure you've got at least your scales in hand, or of course your desires, your pen call, anything like that that can get you into your scales, using and abusing Extranet can be very, very powerful. Abyss Dweller, dealing with all those graveyard effects, especially with Danger FTK and stuff like that right now. Less so Danger FTK at this moment in time. but any graveyard effects that can cause so many issues, Abyss Tornado is a great in. You can also change this out for any rank 4 that you wish. The one, Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion, this is your OTK play. You do have other alternatives should you wish. Very, very cheap card to pick up and very, very powerful card. The one, Naruto, the Moral Leader, very self-explanatory on that one, is an additional negate. And then, of course, your Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, which gets you into your Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Quite straightforward and simple on that one. Now, for our Link monsters, we've got the one Heavy Metaphors Electromite. Again, this should be as straightforward as they come. Incredibly powerful card. There is a reason it is limited. Very, very powerful in this deck and can cause your opponent a hell of a lot of issues. Now, to replace the second Electromite, we do play one Lanphilinkus. Now, I couldn't find my Lanphilinkus for love or looking, but definitely Lanphilinkus is just a generic Link 2. It requires any two monsters to make, and it has the exact same arrows pointing down left and down right for your deck, so it's very, very useful in that sense. For other Link monsters, we've got the Zephyr Metaltron, the Nightmare Unicorn, our Borolo Dragon, and of course our Boral Sword Dragon. Now, there are alternatives to these three if you don't have the money to pump into it. You do have stuff like, if you wanted to go on a more budget version, you do have the old school or the old fashioned OTK style, which is a Deco Talker and this guy here, Performance Trapeze Magician. Performance Trapeze Magician allows a card to attack twice, so you put the monsters in the two zones that Deco points to, if not pointing to one of your opponent controls as well, and then you let that attack for 33 to 38 twice, and that is obviously game when you put the 25 of that one on, and then you should have another monster in the zone that the other Deco points to. That's a bit of an old style way of playing, in the sense that if you can't get hold of the Boral Swords, Boroload and Unicorn, it is a 2-card option that you can put into here, as well as any other alternatives. Like I said, you've got Ignis if you wanted to play... Ignista. If you wanted to play Ignista, you've got an Omega if you want to play an Omega. And then, of course, you've got a Scarlight, which in my opinion is a very, very powerful and useful card. It's just, do you feel you could build up a big special summoned board that you can nuke with Scarlight to do more than 800 damage? Or do you feel... Because, I mean, 9 times out of 10, the idea that you're going into Cowboy is you probably have Electromite on board, and then you do Electromite into your Harmonizing and at least one other, and that is your Cowboy, so you're going to do 800 there. If you do Scarlight, you would do that combo, get your Scarlight, and Scarlight's only doing 500 unless you then have other monsters that you can special summon to nuke and then do your opponent even more damage, which can be a lot better, so it's down to personal preference on that one there. So that is it for the deck profile. Quite straightforward and simple on the Pendulum Magicians. They still are incredibly powerful. Do not underestimate this deck. It still does a hell of a lot for the game, and even with the one Electromite. So Pendulums are still a force to be reckoned with. Like I said, do not underestimate them. They will cause a lot of surprises, and they will do a lot of damage. So, underestimate them at your own peril. For now, that is it for the deck profile. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Let us know what you think of our new layout. Do you like the fact that we're putting the deck list to the side of the profile as we go? And then do you like the fact that we are now putting on the screen right here a total deck cost? And that will be along either the bottom or the side of your side of the video right now, so you can see the total cost of this. What we'll probably do is we'll put in the left-hand side the total cost for monsters, total cost for spells, total cost for traps, total cost for your extra deck, and then right at the bottom we'll have total deck cost. That might be good and help you guys out. By all means, if you think that the organisation or the position of this can be different, then just let us know. We're always open for improvements and changes, which is why we're trying to move forward in 2019 to bring you guys as much information as possible and make all of our content as enjoyable and informative as possible as well. But like I said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as always, happy dueling. Also, YouTube, thanks for watching that video. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. And of course, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button in the bottom left-hand corner and the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. We've got more deck profiles, duels, pack openings, and many more Yu-Gi-Oh videos coming up for you all year round. So don't forget to stay tuned for all of that. Thanks, and as always, guys, happy dueling.